You've got mail.
Hello, and welcome back to Phil 210. Welcome back to the friends and also to the foes. We are going on a journey called A Situation and a Quranic Verse. And I think it's going to be maybe 3 episodes or maybe more. But have you ever wondered if you're a Muslim or somebody who's studying Islam, revert, or whatever they call it? Have you ever wondered why the Quran seems so fragmented, disjointed? A verse about the desert, and then all of a sudden it takes you to talking about women, legs, or something like that, or about heaven. Okay, the reason is because it's actually the verses come down as needed. Muhammad will be going through in a desert whistling with his friend or riding a donkey, and all of a sudden somebody will ask him a question, and he will stop and ask Allah a question, and Allah will send Jibril with the answer. You would think a God that, and even if these are the made up gods, they'll just send principles. In this situation you do this, in this situation you do this. No, this is just reaction. And Muslims put these books together called Asbab and Nuzul, or the reason for revelation. Actually, reason for downloading the verse. It's not revelation. And one of the famous ones is Libab al-Nuqul fi Asbab al-Nuzul. This is like to translate it, the best way is like serious research is done for the reasons of the verse coming down. And it's written by Jalaluddin al-Suyuti, and he's very famous. And I would leave a link to the book. You can download it in Arabic and just try to figure out how to translate it. But even if they translate it, I would not trust the Muslims translating anything because they make a stinky situation look so beautiful and flowery, and this is promises. So I don't trust that. So we are heading to part two of this journey, a situation, and a verse. We go into part two, and we had already part one previously, and part three. I'm just going to give you the warning right today. Part three is going to be X-rated, 18 plus. There are some things I try my best not to make it sound so vulgar, but it is. So I'm just gonna give you just a warning ahead of time. So let's deep dive into a situation and a verse part two. Okay, this here is who gets the booty, and it's not what you think, but this is what happened. He said, and this is, you find this in Sunan Abi Dawud, and Nisa'i, Ibn Habban, Al Hakim. But in this book, it's in page 121. Said the spoils belong to Allah and His Prophet, and this is from a trusted Islamic source, Ibn Abbas. Ibn Abbas said, PB said to his followers, to his cronies, he said, whoever kills a man or bring a man hostage, he can take all his possessions. Is up to you. You can take the possessions after, of course, he docks it and take his taxes from it. So the people were excited. The seniors in the gang, say they hang around the banners. The young people, of course, they have the energy and and the zeal. They just went out, started killing people, and they came back with goats, cows, and of course women, and they were just say they included and the seniors, they said, can we be included in the spoils, at least maybe some goats or something, or maybe a whatever. So both groups started arguing and fighting, and now who will give them the solution? They went to PB. the messenger of Allah, PB, of course. He will need heaven to send him a message, Allah to send a message. So Allah sent Jibril down with Surat Al-Anfal. Let's listen to it.
They ask you, O Prophet, regarding the spoils of war. Say, they belong to Allah and His Messenger. So be mindful of Allah, settle your affairs, and obey Allah and His Messenger if you are true believers.
So, PS, I'm going to include a PS here and this is just an advice to the young thugs and the seniors. Next time, just fight over the spoils. Whoever takes it, takes it. Look, you took it to Muhammad. Now, what do you have? Muhammad keeps it or takes it to wink, wink, Allah, which is him actually. Now you don't have anything. Next time, just fight over it or give 20% to the seniors and young people, young thugs. Take the rest, and just get it done. The next one is in the heat of the summer. In the heat of the summer. And this is found in page 139 from that book, as Bab al-Nuzul, the reason for revelation. And this comes again straight from Ibn Abbas. It said Muhammad ordered his soldiers again, he said, get ready, we're going to war. But that was, it was in the middle of the summer in the desert. So the soldiers came to him, you see ISIS, Al-Shabaab, you see, Hezbollah, they're all represented right there in that picture. And they had, they had Kalashnikov in the 7th century. I don't care. So they said to him, really, in the summer, we can't go to fight. It is too hot even to just sit down. You want us to go to fight? But guess what? Muhammad wanted to go to fight, or he wanted the people to go to fight. He can stay in his tent, So what does he do? Allah to the rescue. Surat At-Tawbah 81. Jibril comes down.
Those hypocrites who remain behind rejoiced for doing so in defiance of the Messenger of Allah, and hated the prospect of striving with their wealth and their lives. In the cause of Allah, they said to one another, do not march forth in the heat. Say, O Prophet, the fire of hell is far hotter. If only they could comprehend.
So now, where is the answer? The people asked, they complain about the heat of the summer, and maybe they'll go in the fall and they go in the spring. So Allah responds to a question. It is too hot to go. He says to them, guess what? Hell is hotter than the summer here. So deal with it. Next is Poets Go to Hell. And that's from page 194, Dead Poets Society. This is comical. This is very comical. Ibn Abbas again. Two poets. They speak about poetry and music and all that in Islam, but it wasn't like that. Let's look. Two poets, they say, came to the messenger of Allah, and they, knowing that the poets were condemned in Islam, they complained that they were both followers of Allah, but they are also poets, and that they are heading to hell. He's like, we're going to go to hell. So Allah sends a message, but I mean Muhammad, he doesn't want to lose the poets. There were a lot of poets in his army. He didn't want to lose them. So Allah sent a message down in an ayah, in a verse. And in the middle of the ayah, he realized, we're going to lose a lot of people in the army of Muhammad. So in the middle is change. So let's listen to this here. Let's listen to a short. And guess what? After the message, they felt so comfortable. So let's listen to Al-Shu'ara 227. And Al-Shu'ara is just poets. From 224 to 227. Mid-sentence, Jibril had to go back up, bring the rest of the verse. Just listen to it.
As for poets, they are followed merely by deviants. Do you not see how they rant in every field, only saying what they never do? Well, except those who believe, do good, remember Allah often, and avenge the believers after being wrongfully slandered. The wrongdoers will come to know what evil end they will meet.
Ya'fur causes a stink. Ya'fur causes a ruckus. And this is from page 240 from the book. And said this is from the two Sahihs. When you hear somebody, saying, "Oh, this is from a Sahihain," or the two Sahih, that means it's from Bukhari and Muslim. Of course, Bukhari next to Quran is number one, and then Muslim is just next to it, right there. Bukhari and Muslim. So it's from Anas ibn Malik. It says, the Messenger of Allah was riding. I wanted to put in your imagination cap. Take yourself back to the 7th century. He said, the Messenger of Allah was riding his donkey. He passed by a man named Abdullah ibn Abi. The man said to him, to PB, "Move away from me. The stink of your donkey hurt my nose." So a man from Ansar of Muhammad, those are supporters of Muhammad followers, got mad at that man. The man tells him, "Hey, your donkey stinks so much." So the man said to Abdullah, "Wallahi, the Prophet donkey smelled better than you." So what's going to happen? Because now egos are hurt. So a fight started between the two groups. So they started hitting each other with their hands, with shoes, with palm branches, and it was just tribal war because of Ya'fur. Allah came once again to rescue his boy. Allah sent Muhammad with Surah Al-Hujarat 9. He said, "I'm giving you an answer here."
And if two groups of believers fight each other, then make peace between them. But if one of them transgresses against the other, then fight against the transgressing group until they are willing to submit to the rule of Allah. If they do so, then make peace between both groups in all fairness and act justly. Surely Allah loves those who uphold justice.
No, we won't go. You didn't know that there was a woman intifada in the 7th century. This is protesting the conditions back in the 7th century. This is page 208. And this is from Al-Tirmidhi, Abdullah. They are, rising to the challenge. And this is very interesting. He said, a group of women protested to the Prophet, saying, "We don't see nothing but men mentioned in the Quran. Why does Allah mention only the believing men and never the believing women?" Even the messenger's wives, they came to him, they started saying, if there was anything good about women, if there's anything good in us, Allah would have mentioned us. This, when Allah sends pacifiers down, it's like, no. We need the women, we need to keep them. Muhammad, we need the women. Let's do something for them. So Allah, what does Allah do? Allah sends Surah Al-Ahzab. And you would think it will be a solution in it. It's like, okay, from now on. But why is there a problem anyway? Well, if Allah is just, how come women are not mentioned? Okay, we know why. But just a logical mind will ask, why are women not mentioned in the Quran? So Allah sends Surah Al-Ahzab 35, supposedly to pacify the women. But look what is mentioned in there. And right after that, there's no mention more mention of women anymore.
Surely for Muslim men and women, believing men and women, devout men and women, truthful men and women, patient men and women, humble men and women, charitable men and women, fasting men and women who guard their chastity, and men and women who remember Allah often. For all of them Allah has prepared forgiveness and a great reward.
I counted 10 times women were mentioned in this just one verse. So Allah did women justice. Why do you have to protest anymore? But the interesting thing is, from going forward from here, he's not going to mention them again, only in the negative. Beat them gently. Conditional justice from page 75 from this book that I will include a link to in the comments. From Al Hassan, a woman came to the messenger complaining that her husband slapped her. So PBUH said, justice, qasas, meaning that the man will have to be slapped. He later realized, when he said, oh, justice, he realized that it will not go well with the males in his army. So Allah intervenes, of course, to help the Prophet, and he, of course, gives them solutions, and you will hear that in the ayah at Nisa 34. One of the solutions is leave them in the bed alone. I believe the woman will prefer that. Give me that punishment. Let me stay in my bed alone. You go to your other 3 wives.
Men are the caretakers of women. As men have been provisioned by Allah over women and tasked to support them financially, and righteous women are devoutly obedient and, when alone, protective of what Allah has entrusted them with. And if you sense ill conduct from your women, advise them first. If they persist, do not share their beds. But if they still persist, then beat them. But if they change their ways, do not be unjust to them. Surely Allah is most high, all great.
Poor lady, she goes back home without justice. Probably gets beaten for complaining about her Abdul by her husband, by his brothers, and being ostracized in society because she complained. Well, we come to the end of episode number 2. And I know this is just seems like comedy, but next I'm going to prepare you here. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse, and it's going to get X-rated. It's going to be 18 plus. So don't allow any of the young people to be around when you're listening to it. But I'm just reading. I will just be reading, and even there's some stuff I'm just not going to read. I'm just going to allude to because it's that bad. Okay, so I will see you next time with episode number 3. And if I see people liking this, I will do episode 4. And as we go along, I'll try to get some more verses out and see what the reason for responding to a situation and a Quranic verse. We'll see what the reason for, and try to help the reverts and try to help Muslims too, especially those who don't speak Arabic. Islam in English is completely different from Islam in Arabic. What do you want to know? The truth? I have no money to gain. I have no position to get. I have a lot of my relatives who are Muslims. I have friends. I want people to know this is what Islam is all about.
You've got mail.